Folks, welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio, the ENBC network, the works. Today, we're going to talk about some awesome stuff. We've been referring a lot to longevity and vitality and aging, but my guest is on a mission to help women and men rethink everything they've been told about aging. And I mean it. So, Allison Davis is an author, traditional naturopath, entrepreneur, mother of five, and the creator of the 60-Day Dare. Today, she's going to dare us a transformational framework designed to help people build healthier habits, rediscover purpose, and create a vibrant future. Now, that's important. In her new book, 60 is a good start, a powerful body, a purposeful life, and a plan to make it happen. Allison challenges the belief that life slows down after 60. Instead, she presents a roadmap for thriving through what she calls the three pillars of longevity: body work, brain work, and world work. So, we're going to talk about all that. Her message is simple but powerful. 60 is not the finish line, it may be the beginning of your most meaningful chapter yet. You know what I want to say? 60 is a new 30. Allison, welcome to the show.
There you go. I like that. 60 is the
Hey,
new 30.
we hear this expression, right? 40
Oh,
is
yeah.
30, the new 30. I mean, we're gonna cut a whole, hold halfway. We're gonna slice that bad boy
Why
straight
not?
down. So
Yeah,
why not? Well, welcome to the show. This is pretty cool stuff. I mean, I love this discussion that we're gonna have today. I mean, aging is it's a fascinating discussion because
it is.
everybody ages.
Yeah.
The minute we're on this planet, we start aging.
Hmm.
People don't even put that together as a thing, but it is a thing, right? We age from the minute we're born. We're growing up and we're aging. But a lot of people think aging is like when you hit those higher years of
Uh-huh.
our lives.
Right.
But
And a
really, our
decline
process,
starts.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, it's like the minute you start living, it's the countdown towards the end, right? So it's just you're going up a little bit the hill. It's like the roller
Right.
coaster.
Right.
So, but before we get to all that, Allison, let's talk about the story. I mean, you have so much work. I mean, you're a naturopath, you're an entrepreneur. That's a culmination of a lot of knowledge and expertise over the years that got you to the point we are today. And to write the book. And this is the book we're going to talk today. I'm not even sure, if we can talk about any other books that you've published before, maybe if there are. And just take us through the journey and the work and the naturopathic way, because I think we are missing that today. A lot of people are not using that route for better health.
Right. Yeah.
It's funny because you and I, we just talked about my allergies, and you said, you gave me a quick advice, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I should have just asked. I mean, I have an expert with me. So let's talk about that journey.
Well, it's funny. I originally was a TV producer, and I loved photography. I went to school, studied film and TV back in the early 80s, and then ended up in Los Angeles. And then in my mid 30s, met my husband, and we decided we were both from my hometown, but didn't know each other earlier. Decided to move back here and have a family, have kids, and all that. But while I was in Los Angeles, and my father was a surgeon, so I was really raised in a medical, household. But honestly, America was that way or is that way. And so maybe not that much different from anybody else. But while I was out there in Los Angeles, I had a kind of aggravating issue that was going on, and this acquaintance that lived in my apartment complex said, "Oh, you have to go to my TCM doctor." And I was like, "What is that?" She said, "Traditional Chinese medicine." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, my father would like freak out, but okay, let's just try something." And so he ended up doing all this muscle testing and ended up saying, "Okay, I want you to take these herbs and you need to get off dairy completely for a year. You may be able to go back on it," which I was able to, but this will solve the problem. And I was just like, wow, something natural would solve the problem versus an over-the-counter drug or prescription drug. That was like this whole new thing. And it did work. And it worked still, it worked forever. I mean, never happened again. And so that was like so interesting. I was so fascinated with the fact that something natural that was grown, a plant grown in the ground, could solve the problem. And so that just spurred me on over the years to start investigating and looking into things. And then, I came back to Oklahoma, I started having kids. I had my first three. And then I'm now like 42, 43, and my immune system just kind of tanked, which happens, having kids takes a lot out of your body. And so then I went to my first naturopath doctor and started healing with herbs and diet again, and it, it just got in my blood, to learn about that. And then in my 50s, I started teaching other women about it. I mean, at that point I had two more, so I had five kids. Um, we adopted the second two. And and I just needed an outlet, right, with the other adults. So I started teaching other women about all these things that I've been learning and got my naturopath certification during that time. And then I hit 60. And this was 5 years ago. And I just sort of, those decade birthdays are always kind of like, oh, okay. For me, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing in my life? Right? Should I be doing something else? Was this your plan, God? I mean, what? And I wasn't feeling as excited and stimulated like I had been. I still love the conversations I was having with women about these things, natural health and longevity too. I was always fascinated with, anytime I would see somebody like say between 90 and 100 that was, relatively healthy, seemed to be, I'm just like, okay, what's your secret? Just so amazing. And so, but I needed that, you want to wake up in the morning and be excited about the day and what you're doing. And I just kind of wasn't feeling that. I felt like something's shifting. I need to do something different. And so I thought, I think I'm just going to have to say yes to some things that pop up to and maybe they're not the thing I'm looking for. I was looking for something for like the next 5 to 10 years. Like, what's my purpose going to be? Right. And so I went on kind of this turned out to be about 7 month journey of trying this thing and doing that thing and a mastermind thing, just some different things. And finally I woke up one morning that was doing a little breathing meditation thing and it just hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to write a book. And it was so it's that combination of longevity, natural health, um, to people in midlife, wherever you think midlife is. I mean, it's typically, I would say 50 and above. But anyway, that was the journey synopsis.
Well, there's a lot of there, and we got to unpack some of that. And well, first of all, I think you mentioned a couple things. One is yeah, you kind of referred to the way America is in terms of the health system, right? The healthcare. And yes, you're right. I mean, it's not a secret now. I mean, now more than ever. I mean, we're not a very healthy, I would say,
Yeah, we're
population. I
not.
mean, we have so
It's
many,
shocking.
yeah, the autoimmune diseases are rampant. I mean, we have kids who have problems that didn't exist, in I guess a few decades back, at the same age,
Yes. Hmm.
span, I would say. The food that we eat is not really the best, it's not really strong in terms of nutrients. It's
Yeah.
it's also, pesticides galore there. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like,
Terrible.
bad. It's terrible, right? So it's that kind of thing. And it's really like, hey, you run until you get sick and then you get to the system, then you get drugged
Right.
up. And by the way, I mean, I'm not opposed to, I'm not a big fan of drugs, but I mean, obviously sometimes you have to indulge if you have no choice.
Absolutely. And I'm not
But
saying not to if, sometimes it's life-saving
it,
situation. So,
it is, it is. Well, but here's the thing, right, Allison? The issue is, we can do a lot, to prevent some of those outcomes, right? And
yes.
there is no, I don't think, not to my knowledge, in our school system, I don't think we also have any education about any of that. Like, hey, this
No,
is how
we
you got to
don't.
grow up to be healthy and stuff. I mean, the food that's served in school is a whole different atrocity that we can
The
talk
food
about. I
that's
mean,
served in hospitals is an atrocity.
yeah, actually, I've noticed that
It's,
my mom. I spent 10 days, 12, actually 2 weeks with my mom in the hospital before she passed, and the food that they were serving her, or like me going to the cafeteria and buying
Mhm.
stuff, I'm like, you got everything that is bad for the health is here, and it's like,
Right.
it's like an invitation. Eat here, and then we have
I know.
a room for you upstairs, right? I mean, so
Uh,
it's kind of crazy. Now,
yeah.
I'm in the healthcare system, and I've seen it. I mean, it's very difficult to make it. So the best way is to try to be in shape and by preventing,
Yeah,
all that stuff, hopefully. But
exactly.
you're talking about something that is so traditional that it's millennia. I mean, you're talking about Chinese medicine,
Yeah.
naturopathic stuff.
Oh, I
It
know.
is all that's ancient. It's not new.
It's
Medicine's
ancient.
always,
Yeah.
it is.
Hmm.
So it's funny. Also, you said you were a TV producer, so there's a lot of stress in this world of media, right? And so you weren't, into that, and yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of energy to be in it, especially producing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you kind of change that. Then you have the family, the kids. It's a lot of stressors around. And by the
Yep.
way, that's the average person's life. I mean,
Right.
from the get go, we go to school.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. 12 years later, you finish
Hmm.
that high school, then
Yeah.
you got 4 years or plus college, and then your career starts. And
Yeah.
we're just on a constant pace
You're
of
not
just,
thinking about eating. I mean, I remember when I first got out of college and got my first jobs, like those first, I don't know, 4 or 5 years even, but especially those first few years. And now I'm watching some of my older kids in that same place. And you are just going hard. I mean,
oh,
you're working hard, long hours if you want to try to get ahead, and eating terrible. You're just trying to survive. So it doesn't really set you up well if
yeah,
you
a
don't know the
lifestyle.
things already.
No, but you're right. Yeah, lifestyle. I mean, really sucks. And just
Yeah.
anyone. And by the way, I don't think it's just in the U.S. I think now
Oh,
it's
yeah.
pretty much everywhere, right? I
Everywhere.
mean,
Sure.
except the few, right? For
Maybe
the
not
most part.
Africa.
Uh, yeah, I mean, some parts, I'm sure there's some people that are still living. I mean, you go to the suburbs, maybe you'll find some. I mean, even the U.S. we have the Amish,
Yeah.
folks. I mean, they
Yeah.
they have a better lifestyle, I think. I mean,
Oh,
yes,
for
they're not.
sure, for sure. Those
Yeah.
statistics with them is amazing. But our fifth child's adopted from Ethiopia, and so
Oh,
we definitely got to see that. And our fourth one is from Russia, which was kind of a small to medium-sized town, and it's a different vibe for sure.
it is. And again, I mean, but if you notice, I mean, the power of marketing, the power of the media, and everything, the
Yeah,
social media now more than ever,
yeah.
we have pretty much everywhere. Like I'm in the UAE, as I told you. I mean,
Same thing.
my kids are just living on the same stuff: Burger King,
Yeah,
McDonald's,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Wendy's, Subway.
Yeah,
I mean, the
well,
same brands.
sometimes you just have to do that. You just have to like drive through and get something quick.
Well, again, but the reason I'm saying that is specifically is because the problem is the kids are conditioned to those types of
Yes.
foods, and
I
they're
know.
not adjusting well to any other food. Doesn't matter where we
No,
go.
I
We
know.
travel all the time. We go on a cruise ship. That's what they get on the menu too. Like they don't sit with us
Yeah.
in the restaurant. They
Yeah.
just do that. So it's crazy. But like the lifestyle again is that push. There's nonstop. We work. I mean, listen, I've been in that corporate space myself. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
30 plus years in there. And yeah, to make it up there, you put in those hours, 10, 12
Yeah.
hours a day. I mean, Saturdays, Sundays, doesn't matter. You're
Yeah.
working, right?
Yeah.
I mean, back in the early 90s, before the computers and, all well, I would say not the computers, we had computers, but at the office, you didn't take them home,
Yeah.
and so your job ended at 5, Friday, and you started Monday
True,
at 9.
true, true.
That,
Now with the
that's not happening.
phone, you're in bed doing emails.
Yeah, listen, and then you're catching up on your social media stuff. There
Right.
goes another hour. Eating was like you're driving, you're eating while
Yeah.
you're driving. I mean,
Yeah.
you're on a meeting, you're just crunching food while
Yeah.
you're actually walking from a meeting to the other. It is bad, but
Yeah.
again, the solution
Yes, I was just
is
about to say
available.
the solution is available. It just requires some intention and a plan. As a producer, like the biggest skill you have to have is planning and organization. One thing I did, I remember produced a 26 show series for PBS back then. PBS was a big deal. And we were shooting all 26 shows sort of at the same time. So, like shows 1, 8, 13, and 20, we were going to interview this one person. So we had to do the interview for all four of those shows, right? So it was this puzzle of planning and executing and all of that. So that was just I don't know if I had that skill inherently or if I gained it just having to do that, whatever. Then I homeschooled my kids for 20 years and it was the same thing. I mean, the planning and organization, like to just get the stuff done, you know, including feeding people and, you know, doing the laundry. I mean, it was just same thing. So I'm all about the plan. You know, we have to have a plan. What am I going to do today? Don't just leave it to some haphazard, like, what do I feel like in the moment? You know, and that's the secret, really. The, like we said earlier, a roadmap. I mean, that it is just deciding what you're going to do. And some of these are just can be little things that, you know, it just takes 10 minutes to do that thing. The one of the keys phrases I love is your future is hidden in your daily routine. And what does that mean? Like, okay, what does your daily routine look like? Well, that's what your future is. I mean, if you're not doing any of the things like eating the things you should be eating, moving your body, drinking enough water, sleeping well, you know, and there's other things too. Those are kind of the key in body work, the physical. But if you're not doing any of those things kind of with regularity, and let me tell you, I did not start exercising regularly until I was 55. Now,
Oh,
maybe before, maybe in my 20s I did, but I'm talking about like after I had kids and, you know, everything was it. And I got to 55 and I thought, I kind of was another little mini freak out. I was just like, what? Oh my gosh, is it too late? You know, and I remember reading a really great book and it was like, no, it's not too late. So so I dove in at that point and I made everything. I mean, I got real intense about it. I was just like, everything in my life is going to revolve around my workouts. It's just I'm not because there was always an excuse, you know, oh, I can't go walk, can't go to the gym, can't do any of that because such and such happened. But I was just like, it's not going to be a kid thing, it's not going to be a husband thing. I am going to do these workouts when I say I'm going to do them. Period. Because if I don't, I'm not going to be here to be the mom or whatever else. And that's just the truth of the matter. And if I am here, I'm probably going to be miserably sick in bed. So, so that was 10 years ago, and it's so, you know, thank goodness. But, you know, we everyone has a threshold, right? And a lot of this has to do with do we keep we may be really good at keeping promises to other people. We usually are, but are we good at keeping promises to ourselves? Like I'm going to work out at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. Or do we just, oh, I'm just gonna blow it off? No, my goodness. That's who we need to keep promises to the most. I mean, if we want what we want, well, what do we want? What, you know, what are the desires of our heart? So, yeah, there is a solution.
Listen, thank you. You touched on a lot of things here. One is again, I love the idea of what you said about planning, right? And you know, we have the expression. I mean, I use it in business all the time in training. It's like prior planning prevents poor performance.
Yes,
That applies to work, that applies to life, that applies to personal, to health, everything. If we plan correctly, I mean, there's the other expression. You know, we fail to plan, plan to fail. I mean, those
right.
are like real rules, and we know
Yeah,
about them. Many you talk to any person will probably will just repeat that same sentence or the same
yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Whether we apply it or not, that's the problem, I think.
that's right.
And and there's a challenge because we are caught up in this life as we talked about. Like we just keep running, running, and running, but sometimes we don't take care here. Like you know, you got to look at number one, and
Right.
number one is needed to be able to do things for number two and three and four.
That's right.
Otherwise, it's not gonna happen. And by
That's
the way,
right.
I do have to give you kudos. I mean, listen, I this is going to all the women out there, you know, mommies, because you know, I did, you know, I loved my mom and I still love her, even though she's not with us, and I love my wife, and you know, and the work that you guys do in, you know, out there in this world, I mean, is phenomenal. And you know, and I have to say, you do more than we do. You know, for the most part, you manage somehow to do a lot more, and you know,
Just the nature. It's our nature.
but it's worth, you know, noting and giving a kudos to. But really, it takes a toll.
It
Because
does.
I listen, my wife is an entrepreneur. She's a businesswoman. She's still does things at home and
Right.
cleans and does all the stuff, and even though she gets sometimes assistance, whatever, but it doesn't. There's still work to be done, right?
Yes,
And you
yes.
have kids, it's a lot of work,
It's a
and
lot. It's from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed.
it's nonstop, and it takes a toll. And also, there is the anatomy. I mean, the body is different. Also,
That's
there's the
right.
hormones, there's the perimenopause, there's
Yep.
menopause, there's all stuff. And as we aged, and especially mid-age, we have all those things. Men have their own similar stuff. Women
Yep.
have their own similar stuff, and it becomes a very taxing, I would say, thing on the body. And if we're not disciplined to do what we need to do and take
Yeah.
care of ourselves,
Hmm.
we're all gonna hurt ourselves. And actually, that's what happens. I think the difference between people who age gracefully, better wise, and they feel vitality and all the stuff. You mentioned something. You see people that are between 90 and 100, and they still looking good and
Right.
feeling good.
Right.
That's amazing, and I've seen them
It
too.
is.
I mean, and you see it in a lot of other cultures too. More, I
Yes, you
think,
do. Well,
in
like the
Asia, for
blue
example.
zones. You know about the blue zones, I'm sure, right? Do you know?
I've heard of
The blue zones are the five areas in the world where, and
zones, yes.
the centenarians, big conglomerations of centenarians, meaning healthy 100-year-olds. And so they did, decades of study on why, how did this be? And it's all these lifestyle habits. So
I mean, listen, it starts with lifestyle. It's all about it. I mean, at the end of
yes,
the day,
it
that's all
is.
there is. It's whatever we do, whether through our food, experience, through our daily activities, through our stress monitoring. I
Mhm.
mean,
Right, right,
we have to work. That's fine, but do we have to stress? No. I mean, mental health is another one
right.
that's going nuts these days.
Yeah.
People are going crazy. There's so much hype, and again, you probably can speak, for multiple decades in terms of the experience, and it has shifted over the decades. I mean, I know for a fact personally, 70s, 80s, it's changing. I mean, I'm Gen X, so we kind of play with the idea that we were playing outdoors, we were running,
Oh, well, I know. I
we
know
didn't
it.
spend time at home. We were
No, you
active.
came home when the street lights came on.
Yeah, exactly. And we got screamed at. I mean, my mom, God bless her. So she used to be like, dude, come home now. I'll be like, she's running. Even my friends like, yo, yeah, dude, your mom is there. You got to go. Yeah, I'm running late, right? So stuff like that. But now it's like, I gotta fight my son to come out of the room. Because I mean,
Yeah,
they just come to eat, or maybe I mean he goes to the gym. So comes
yeah,
to the gym, he comes to eat, and that's all there is. Maybe
yeah,
once in the blue moon he goes out with
yeah.
us. So life changed, drastically,
Well, you
and
know
I think
what? You know what? Another phrase I love is environment triggers behavior. So, and I say that all the time, like, do you have your water bottle with you? You have to. If you're going to drink enough water, it just has to be around you all the time. But it's the same thing as back then. The environment triggered the behavior of us as kids. Well, there wasn't anything to do at home. We want to go outside and play with our friends, right? But now the environment in most people's homes is computers and phones and laptops and, video games and that. And so that's going to trigger our behavior. You know, there were multiple times when my kids were growing up that I would just get so mad about all the technology in the house that I would just like we didn't have I mean, at that time we probably just had one TV in one room. But even that one, I would just be like, I'm taking it out. And I'd take it out because they were just on it too much. It was just too much. Um, they're fine. They're normal.
well, Alison, it's funny because even the concept have changed. I mean, people are sociable on social media, but not
Yeah.
really less social in real life. So there is not
Yeah.
even
But
human,
the good thing
contact.
is, the good thing is, for one key to these longevity items that we're talking about is community. And that was a big thing in the blue zones, but it's a big thing in all just longevity conversations. And maybe the most important thing is community and having people around you and being around people and not isolating. And when you get older, a lot of people are, maybe they're divorced or widowed or, kids have all grown and gone. They can just be alone. If they're an introvert, they're just really alone, right? They're just apt to stay alone. And so, let's just say they live in the country or, in some kind of little small town. Well, the internet can provide some community, if you join groups that, I don't know, do hobbies that you love, or things like that. So there, of course, there's the good and the bad of everything, but anyway, that's the other
And
side.
well, you're right. I mean, anything in extreme, right, can be a
Yeah,
problem, and so we got to
right,
be
right.
in the middle. But it's it's amazing how we just shifted slowly but surely, and that this today's we are where we are. And but
Yeah.
here's the good news. I think with that came now more awareness, because I think social
Yes.
media has opened
Yes.
this door with expertise that maybe
Hmm.
we didn't have access to. There are
Hmm.
more like authors who actually are talking on podcasts, on
Right.
radio, and stuff like that.
Yes,
So we have a
right.
little bit more exposure to information. You have people on Instagram, TikTok doing things and presenting information that we didn't have readily,
Yeah.
accessible, to all of us, right? I mean, TV has programming, but it's limited to what they
Yeah.
can cover, and also there's sponsorships and things like that. So maybe sometimes against their rules to actually present some of the narratives that maybe
Right.
you can have on social media. So it changes, the dynamics. Now I know you told us about your journey, and kind of like you found that moment when you figured, like, you know what, I got to write stuff about this.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now your book centers around those three pillars, right? Body
Yeah.
work, brain work, world work. So let's dissect each one of them, and kind of break it down to the audience. Like, I mean, I think we can get an idea, but let's see what
Yeah.
that
Okay.
entails each of them.
Well, and so the book leads to the 60-day dare, if that's something a person would want to do. So for 60 days, and 60 is a good start, has a double meaning. So yeah, it's sort of midlife. So really 50 and on. I happen to be 60 but so it can be anywhere in there. But also 60 days is the minimum amount of time to develop a new habit, to solidify it in your brain, which really is developing long-term memory. And you can see it on the dendritic spines of the nerve cells in the brain. It's a little bump on that spine of the nerve cell, and then it turns into like a little mushroom shape when it's formed long term. So, it's just doing something every day for 60 days. That's when it starts to become a habit. It might take longer. It depends on what the thing is. It could be up to 8 months. And this is Dr. Caroline Leaf. She's a neuroscientist, and she's the one that says that. She's a big, prolific author, and speaker and everything. But so the idea is that you're going to pick. Ideally, maybe you'd pick one thing from BodyWork, from BrainWork, and WorldWork. There's 5 in each category to do for 60 days. Maybe you just want to pick one thing in BodyWork or two things in BodyWork, whatever. It doesn't matter, just wherever you think you need help, right? So in BodyWork, the physical, it's eat clean. Maybe it's a way of eating, a type of diet that you like or you want to try. Maybe it's just getting rid of sugar. Maybe it's getting rid of flour. Well, just some kind of eating better than you are, committing to that for 60 days. Maybe you don't drink enough water, so you're going to drink half your body weight in ounces of water a day. And so maybe you're going to do that for 60 days. I mean, I think half of the ER visits are solved by hydration because people just don't drink enough water. And then move your body. Maybe you're just going to exercise for 30 minutes a day every single day. Or maybe if you already do that, you're going to up it to 45 or 60, just whatever. Maybe you don't exercise at all and you are just going to walk to the stop sign and back. You're just going to get the tennis shoes on. And again, back to environment triggers behavior. Have those tennis shoes out where you see them. So you're more likely to put them on. If they're in the closet, you're not going to see them. So you're not going to do it. But just get out. And if you want to walk more, great. But you're going to at least walk to the stop sign and back like that, right? So it's baby steps. Sometimes it just requires baby steps. Sleep. I mean, number one for recovery of anything, it's when our brain gets cleaned out at night. We sleep 7 to 9 hours a night, and there's all kinds of ways to improve your sleep, natural ways that, I have a whole list of them. that are in the book and that you can get to, but you can just Google it or whatever. And then breathe like a 10-minute deep breathing session. That's huge. People are like, really breathe? No, no, yes, yes. And it's also an opportunity to do a little just slow down and meditation thing, just to kind of calm down. Okay, so that's body work. Brain work is write, read, clear, meditate, and create. So write, that might be a 10-minute session of just journaling. Just some, sometimes we just need to get out of what's in our head, get it out onto paper. And there's a whole brain neuro thing with handwriting. And it can be a great thing to, if you feel like you have too much in there. Maybe you've got some trauma that just, that's a kind of first way to sort of dissipate that and move through that, just to start writing about it. So there's a lot of different things on that. Read something that's uplifting. I like to say nonfiction. I had a friend though that wanted to just, her life was so stressful that she just wanted to commit to reading a fun novel. And for her, I was like, that's probably a good idea for you. But really, it needs to be something uplifting that's, making you better, improving you in some way, informing you in some way. So like 10 pages a day, something like that. That doesn't take long, but you have to sit down, grab the book, make yourself stop for a moment and do it. Clear is either one of two things. I like to do like a 15-minute declutter session, whether I did my top drawer here recently that hadn't been touched in 2 years. It was a disaster. I hated opening it every time. Finally, I took 15 minutes and just decluttered it, and now I'm very happy. But, if our house, our home, our office, our car is a cluttered mess, our mind is a cluttered mess. It really makes a difference. Or maybe and this is back to the natural health, detoxing your home from all the chemicals. And generally, you want to look in your bathroom, your laundry room, and your kitchen, under your kitchen sink. Usually, that's where all the bad stuff is. Read the labels. Beware of greenwashing. They try to make it sound healthy. It's really not. It doesn't take. There's a great app called Yucca, Yuka, and I think you can even scan a picture of the product and see how they rate it. And there's so many great products out there. If you need help, I can help with that too. And then meditate would be meditation, prayer, or affirmations, just again, like a 10-minute session. And then create would be like a 30-minute session of just doing a creative hobby. Just something and really it lowers your cortisol. They've done studies on that. For me, I needlepoint. I love to needlepoint. And so that's like my reward at the end of a day. It's just to sit down. It's kind of this repetitive, meditative thing. I'll watch TV while I'm doing it too. But, it's just so relaxing and it's producing something pretty cool. So one cool thing is there's a needlepoint explosion in America right now. All these 20-year-old girls are going to, this has been happening for like the last 2 years because they want to get off their phones. They want to stop scrolling. So they need to do something with their hands. Pretty cool. And then in WorldWork, so the brain work is the mental, emotional, spiritual. WorldWork is our relationships and our purpose. And on these, you could do the first one for 60 days, which is, I call it dream. And there are 60 dream questions in the book, and you would just journal the answer to each one daily for 60 days. And that is for the person that just is where I was at that, when I turned 60. And I just, didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something that was really going to light me up, for the next 5, 10 years. If that's you, that you want to answer those questions, and I really believe they will lead you to what you should be doing right now. Because we all have purpose, and it changes over time. But I don't think we don't have a purpose until we die. I mean, we have a purpose for the whole time. Engage is the second one. So if you're that introvert that's staying home and you just need to get out there and get around people, but how do you do that? Well, you call someone for coffee, or you call your sibling that lives across the country you haven't talked to in, I don't know how long. Gather would be gathering like that's on the spiritual level, like maybe that's go to church or go to a small group or even a one-on-one to do with your spiritual life. And that is a key thing in the longevity studies in the blue zones. Help would be volunteering. Maybe that's what, a lot of people find their purpose that way. Just and there's a million things out there a person could volunteer for, but do what you love. Always like don't get dragged into something that you don't like because there's a person for that one, right? Do the thing you love. And then act, that's for the person that does know their purpose, but maybe not quite pursuing it. So at least an hour a day doing that. So those you could rotate through, except for the dream questions. But anyway, those are all of the key features of the three pillars, and they're pretty basic. I mean, if you really think about it, yeah, those are the key things. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're 20 or 80, really. But it's just being intentional, choosing to do that thing for 60 days in a row. And, there's been things that I've done for the 60 days and it really sunk in. And I've just continued. Number one was eating more protein. Like it was really hard for me to get enough protein in, which is key. Our muscles are the organ of longevity, especially our leg muscles. And as we get older, man, we have got to have enough protein to build that muscle or they'll deteriorate. I watched my mother's legs she died in 2018 and they just deteriorated and she ended up in a wheelchair because, she ate sugar and she barely got any protein is my guess. But yeah, so those are some key things.
Well, listen, thank you for breaking down the three pillars here, the main,
Mhm.
components, and
Yeah.
also giving some clarity on each category there. But you hit on a few things. First of all, the idea, I love it, the idea of 60, the 60-day habit, minimum, like, which reinforces the idea of discipline.
Yes.
Practice makes perfect. If you don't, you
Yeah.
lose quickly, right?
Yeah.
Out of sight of the mind. I love the idea
Right.
that you said.
Yeah.
If you don't see your stuff, you're not gonna do it. I mean, you got
Hmm.
to have it in front of your sight, all the time. And these are like habits that we all know about. The thing is, and but I love what you said that this is not just for 60. Anybody. This
Oh,
is for
yeah,
everyone. As a
it
matter of fact,
is.
the earlier you start with this, I think the
Oh,
better you are.
earlier the better.
You don't have to wait until like it's
Right.
later and which by the way you said something also more powerful, which is you started working out at 55. Yes, I mean you had your early days at the college days. I mean everybody goes to
Yeah.
the gym. That's a
Yeah.
fact. But once we get into real life, we get distracted.
Yeah.
Many of us kind of like look the other way or just we have no time. That's the best excuse and the most excuse we hear all the time. And then but you made that call. No, I'm gonna do this. 55
Yeah.
is a good day. Let's get started. Any day is a good day. There's
That's right.
never a reason why we say, look, I can't do it or it's too late. It's never too late until we're not longer here. And I love what you said about the idea that we're here with a purpose. And not only for ourselves to be righteous and do the right thing and so on and so forth and take care of ourselves. Again, if we are good for ourselves, we're good for our, immediate family, from our, community, for our society, all stuff. But also we can do things. I mean, you so a need to put this book together
Yeah.
to that combines actually really I mean what you did in the book it's a summary, it's a 360 wheel of everything that we all should be doing. I think if
Hmm.
we just if we put that wheel on the wall and have it like with these
Yeah.
three buckets or three slices whatever we want to
Yeah.
put them, we'll be good. I mean we'll have a good time.
Yeah.
It's like a pie chart, right? You have your brain work, your world work, and your body work,
Hmm.
right? It's amazing. I love the idea of the brain work. A lot of us can not even think about the brain work. I mean, sometimes
Right.
we go crazy with our physical. Yeah, we can eat and all that,
Right.
but we don't do much with our brain. I mean,
Hmm.
we're so distracted, so busy. We
Attention to it. Yeah. Hmm.
and we see that a lot of folks sometimes, and as we age, sometimes we do less and less of that. Reading is a big deal. I mean, it keeps
Hmm.
your memory working and puzzles. There's apps actually for that, literally that they
Yep.
actually people can play with and just keep their mind sharp. Mathematical equations, all kind of stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, we're not talking about algorithms and functions,
Right.
integrals. We're talking just basic
Right.
stuff, but it makes it it just keeps you sharp, right? Cognitive levels, right? And I love the idea of community, and I've seen this. I mean, in my career, I have worked with the senior community for 30 years, and so senior centers, adult daycares, and the 65, the Medicare,
Right.
beneficiary is my customer or client in the business
Okay.
I'm in. And
Hmm.
so for the most part, I've seen, folks that are more sociable.
Yeah.
They're active, they're dancing, they're happy, they playing bingo, they're at the senior centers, they're doing the thing. They're like, they're just as they're young. I mean, literally they're
Yeah.
young. I mean,
Hmm. Hmm.
we don't you can't even tell that they're actually in the aging, process. They're literally feeling like, and they not only feel it, they're showing it. And then I've seen some that actually completely like they stay home, they're not doing anything, they don't socialize, that we visit, and you realize that they're just, as you said, deteriorating. They're
Yeah.
not doing much. They just kind of
Yeah.
like collapsing on their own. And I think it
Probably
has been,
depressed.
yeah, and that's the other. So he adds, yeah, I mean, you're not alive. You look like it's almost you giving up on life,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't. I think the message is really simple, folks. I mean, live happy. Keep your vitality. Keep engaged, and do things. You don't have to wait
Well, if
until
if you do all these things, you will be happy. That's kind of, that's it's
the
like that.
plan.
This is the equation,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I love it. I mean, that you're right. It's if we do this exactly how you put it in
Yeah.
the book, and you explain today, there is nothing else. I mean, because you'll be fulfilled
Right. This
fully.
is
I mean,
these are the keys. It's real simple. Take care of your body, take care of your brain, and get out in the world and have relationships and find your purpose and do your purpose. And it's just having a plan for today, a plan for the week, a plan for the month. I'm like, you show me a good planner. Every time I see an ad for a planner, a new planner, I'm all over it. For years, probably for 10 years, I would buy all the ones I'd see. And in my mind, I'm like, this is research and development because one of these days I am going to have a planner. I didn't know it was going to be connected to the 60-day dare, but I'm all about a planner that just can guide you. It's like that's what sort of takes away, I mean, we do have to have a certain amount of discipline, but we don't necessarily have to have motivation. I mean, because if we have the plan and we wrote down what we're going to do and we're like, I'm going to keep these promises to myself. Like if you can get that in your brain to that's important and I'm going to do it, then there's your plan. Just execute on the plan. Um,
word
it doesn't really
execute.
matter how you feel, just do the plan.
But again, but thank you. You said execution. That's the thing. I think we fail at execution.
Yes.
Because I mean, listen, we can say we're gonna do. Everybody has plans for everything. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Oh, tomorrow I wake up. I'm gonna do. But to your point, it's not pre-planned, so it's not like it's organized and it's ready. It's tomorrow's check. I got to do this. So you have a
Hmm.
checklist of things you're gonna do. Or you just kind of like ad hoc, kind of wing it in the morning. Oh, let me see
Yeah.
what I can do. When I get to it, I get to it. And so lack of execution makes it the worst part. And actually, again, that applies to health, that applies to food, that applies to
Yeah.
workout. I mean, even you go in the gym. I mean, most people, we hear this all the time. Oh, I don't have enough time in the gym. Oh, it's gonna take time. I gotta get there. You just gotta do it.
Yeah.
I mean, just like
Yeah.
Nike says, just do it.
Right. My husband he's a lawyer and he has a law firm that he's been building for about 10 years now. He used to be a solo lawyer for the first 20 years and now he's been building this law firm. He's got like 30 employees and in multiple cities. And so it's funny because over those 10 years, there's been times where he's had coaches, right, that have really, there's always, you get to a new level, there's a new devil, they say. And so, they'll do a lot of coaching and really trying to learn the principles of growing a business and all the parts to the business, et cetera, et cetera. And then it's like, okay, we've got that. Now we know what to do. We just have to execute. Like, and that'll go for, a few years. And then it's like, oh, we need to learn now this whole new thing, So there's that time spent learning and okay, how does this work? And then it's just like, well, we know exactly what we have to do. Now we just have to execute. Each person in the company just execute what you have to do. You know what to do, just do it.
Well,
So it's the same idea with
it
all
is.
this.
Well, it's funny, Listen, it's this thing that you just talked about is in the business world, and I have done a lot of consulting over the years, in between, corporate, jobs, and what I've noticed, like, so you do your assessment, you give advice, you give them a whole, here's the plan, here's what we see, here's what you need to be doing,
Right.
and I can tell you this, I would say maybe at least a 50% don't apply, don't execute on whatever you give them
Yeah.
either because it just takes forever or maybe the finances are not
Yeah.
there or whatever, and the plan goes down to the tube. So whatever you did, I mean, you pay for this to get results to actually act on, but you don't.
Right.
I mean, action speaks louder than word,
It
word, right?
does. It
you
does.
gotta, you gotta, talk the talk, walk the walk. But unfortunately, it is a habit that we've developed, and I think sometimes we just get lazy, distracted. There's so much distraction, and it makes it difficult. But to your point, this is the one thing we cannot non-negotiable is our health.
Yeah. Right. What else is there? They say you don't think about your health, but then when you do have to think about your health, it's the only thing you think about. Like if something bad happens, right? It's the only thing you're thinking about.
Well, it's and by the way, if that fails, you're already at that point. Yeah, it's bad. I mean, I mean, it's not. I would say there's hope. I never
Right.
lose
There's
the hope
always
there.
hope. There's always hope.
But it's difficult, because now
Yes,
you
it
have
is
a drain.
difficult.
It drains. Yeah, I mean it's physical. It drains your mental
Hmm.
state. I mean it affects everybody around you.
Hmm.
It affects your. It can affect your finances, your career, everything. So like it's funny because with these shows we talk business sometimes, and like we even have a business channel, and people's like, I've had this comment like, well, what do you have to do with you're all about health and stuff. It's like there is nothing in this world that does not affect our health, and one of them is business because business is all about health. It
Yeah.
takes you drains your body, your physical, your mental, your emotions,
Yeah.
everything, even your spiritual. So
Hmm.
so your social, everything is there. So it can be very detrimental. So understanding how we operate in business will probably ease up for people so they can do better and be healthier
Hmm.
mentally and physically. So it changes the dynamics. It's just how we see things
Yeah.
sometimes and how we operate. So, well, now let me ask you a question. So I know you wrote the book. You worked with a lot of folks and women primarily. I
Hmm.
think some. Yeah, I'm not sure
Hmm.
if you work with men as well, but
Mostly
but
women.
mostly women. So
Yeah.
have you seen like there's this whole thing about, oh, my best years are behind. I was the best. When I was this, and I hear this even in the man discussion.
Oh yeah.
Oh, when I was this, even listen, we make that. I say that, when I
Yeah.
was in my 20s, 30s. But here's the thing, I say it, but I still live today as I joke, I say my mind is still at 21 and I'm still trying to adjust the body.
I feel like my mind's like in my early 30s.
There you go. So
I
young
don't
get
feel that
hard,
much
young get physical.
different. Um, but yeah, yes, I definitely hear that. And that's the biggest myth. I mean, when I really think about my decades, like there's no way I would ever want to go back to my 20s. That was almost the worst.
You and all of us.
You're just learning how to be an adult and you're making stupid mistakes. And I mean that, the brain isn't, they say fully developed till somewhere between 25 and 30. They're even going up to 30 now with that information. But yeah, and so when I think about my 30s and then my 40s and then my 50s and my 60s, honestly, it has just gotten better. I mean, I honestly mean that because now the beauty of now, and let's just say 60s, everybody's different in their, like for me, I've still got my fifth child is going to be in 10th grade. So I still have a child at home. My fourth one's just about to leave for his second year of college. So I'm still kind of in that mode, but yeah, they're independent. So it's definitely different. But in in my 60s, I mean, I've got like the wisdom and I've got a little more white space, a little more margin to think about what do I want to do, right? And until versus the craziness of say, 30 to 50, like the height of kids and when most people do have kids, I mean, I think it's 85% of women have children. And so uh, you know, that's just, or if you're just full-time career, even that too, you're just running and going. So really, as you're getting older, you've got the wisdom that's so beautiful, and you've got the space to think about what can I do now, which is pretty exciting.
Well, listen, thank you. And you kind of brought up something that is important to highlight today is when you look at the decades, and some people are lucky to spend decades. Some people don't make the decades, but I
Yeah,
can tell you this: the decades move quick, and
it's
like you don't realize it. And actually, I did ask
you
this
know.
question to one of our anchor doctors, Dr. Heim, and he says that we just become more aware of our mortality as we get to the next
Totally.
yeah. So
Totally.
so now your time frame is you're on the I mean, again, you're 50, so you hit the mid-century, I mean the mid-century mark, so you're like halfway there. I mean, even if you do 100, right?
Right.
you
Well,
know
if they say I think the longest person living is like 120. That's been sort of the edge. So
there
we
you
could
go.
we could just say we're halfway at 60 even.
Yeah, exactly. But
But
true,
then when you look at statistics, it's a different story.
but even at that, now you start like, okay, well, I gotta, 60 went by fast, so I gotta do some more, right? I gotta work
Right.
on this and do something about it. And so when we aware, we are, you can act on things. Sometimes that's the thing. We're just so unaware. And also, we're doing all the bad things to destroy our health. So sometimes you might not have the health that you need to carry those next decades, right? And
That's
so
right.
I mean, we have habits sometimes. I mean, you said the 20s, that's when we do all the crazy stuff. I mean, we're not going to go deep in that discussion, but we
No.
all know what we're talking about. College days, people are funny with those, especially if you're in in one of those fraternities, sororities. I mean,
Right,
it
right.
gets a little round, right? So it gets a little tough, right? And of course, even in the career path, right? You start your career, there's
Yeah.
a lot of outings, there's stuff, late nights, you don't sleep enough. And I love you kind of, again, with that wheel of the 360 concept of all
Hmm.
the modern, the things you mentioned. I mean, importance of food, sleep, drinking, all the stuff, the movement. These things sometimes we don't do all of them early.
Hmm.
And what the message really for our folks watching and listening is like, doesn't matter what age you are, folks.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves, do what you need to do, and yeah, think about that. You're gonna live forever. Just live healthy,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
could live, 1,000 years. What's the point if you're not able to make moves or get
Right.
up and
Right.
do some stuff? I mean,
Right.
or like you have to be you have someone to help you. It's
Hmm.
very difficult, and
Hmm.
so you don't want that. And sometimes these shows kind of sound a little uh you know eerie and kind of spooky. Some people like think, oh my god, you're like telling us the doomsday. But the fact is, the more, I mean, seriously, like, right, we remind people of the things they don't want to be reminded of, right?
Yeah,
Think about it, it's a real thing, folks.
it is. It
We got to be
is.
aware, we got to take care of business, and business is you, it's your health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Allison, the book is out there. It's been out there.
Yeah.
Uh, but you do work with people as well, or you just,
Uh-huh.
obviously you do.
Well,
So
there's
how does the program work? For
yeah,
people who
there
are interested.
we have if you're on Facebook, we have it's called 60 is a Good Start book community, so you can join that. It's just, it's just a group of people that like the book and want to do more with it. Every now and then we will do a 60-day dare. I mean, you can do the 60-day dare. So there's a planner, there's the book, and then a planner that goes with the book for your 60-day dare that you can use. And so you could do that on your own, but I really advise you, a big part of success is accountability. So I really think it's ideal if you are doing it with at least one other person, if not a group. Or we have groups that go through it together where, we do a weekly Zoom call. There's a special Facebook group for that. There's, there's one-on-one deals with me if you want that. And that's just every so often. I'm not sure. We'll probably do another one. I don't know yet. End of summer, beginning of fall. I don't know when this is coming out, but every now and then so you can get on my website, AllisonMcCuneDavis.com, and there's a place to sign up to get emails so you'll know about when those things are happening. And the book is also an Audible book, an audio book. So if you'd like that better. So yeah,
That's perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And listen, I personally say that this is a must-have book because I mean it has the
thank you.
tools.
Yeah,
And sometimes when we have a book ourselves, I mean, we might put it on the shelf, we might not, engage with it. But if we
right.
have the relationship, and maybe someone to assist. So these groups are very important sometimes.
Yes.
Again, talking about community, uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's like going to the gym working by yourself. It doesn't do the
All
same
right.
if you go with a couple of people. You pumping
Yeah.
each other, you
It's fun.
motivate each
Yeah.
other.
Hmm.
Yeah, you get to push each other, so it helps. So again, that's a recommendation that's phenomenal, and you have that already in place. And I'm assuming you work with people, doesn't matter where they are, because this is like
No, yeah. I mean,
remote. So
yeah, I can just do one-on-one consultations with people too. So that's on my
perfect.
website on the contact page if you're interested in that.
And there's no borders to that, right? People can call
Right.
in from any, as long as they can communicate, right? We can do
Right.
that.
It's the
All
good
right,
thing about
perfect.
the internet.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, it's funny because even now with like this show, right? I mean, with new YouTube now has this AI dubbing, so anyone can
Oh,
watch any language in
oh,
their
that's
own
so
preferred language.
cool.
Literally, they
Yeah.
just pick up their dialect and they can watch us speak that language for
Right,
them.
right.
They can
That's
understand.
perfect.
So it's so cool, the technology that people now can benefit from.
It really is.
More
Mhm.
people can benefit, right? And so
Yep.
they can obviously connect, or at least maybe then they figure out a way to work. But it opens up, resources to the world.
Yes.
Um, well, first of all, I want to thank you for putting the book together because I'm a huge fan of all authors and writers because I
Oh, thank
believe
you.
that you guys are the ones who put the future in place because these books remain alive. I mean,
Yeah.
we have books from thousands, years
Right. True.
that we still use today in our
Mm-hmm.
information, and those are the books that actually feed our AI and all this stuff. So everyone's
Hmm.
like AI is only existed because it can feed off what's in the internet or what's
Right.
in Google.
Right.
And that's only feed off of whatever is written out there. So if it's not written yet, it's not going to be in the AI, right?
Yeah.
So the concept is really you guys are the people that make the difference in this world, and I
Thank you.
admire that, and I support that 100%. Actually, I would say 200%. So I double that up. Today we're slicing in half and we double it up. So
Well,
you
same to
know,
you for doing your podcast. There's great information out there.
well, thank you. Listen, it's that the whole idea was to create a platform where we can bring expertise so people can have
Hmm.
access to it. There's a lot of great people doing the same work, and for me personally, I felt that there was no radio that has health. I
Hmm.
mean, there's no real health radio that I know of, nor health TV or health channel. Because I can tell you
Hmm.
this, we have the weather channel, but we
It's
don't have the
true.
health channel.
Yeah, you're right. Hmm.
So that was kind of like the whole idea came from that, and
Right.
and being in the healthcare, and as I told you, seeing folks that are in the aging process or even the families, and then they don't the advocacy, they don't know what to do. The system is convoluted, all this stuff.
Hmm.
It was really I felt that there was a need, and I kind of you know thought this would be a good thing, and I started it 7 years ago,
I
and still
love
so
it.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you
Wonderful.
as well, for giving me those, and it motivates me to keep doing this, and listen, we have audiences all over the world, and I know if we can touch one life at a time,
Yes.
it's already a big deal, and
It's worth it.
that's
Yeah,
that's
I
it's
agree.
worth it. I mean, look, I mean, like I said, books are awesome. I mean, they change lives. I mean,
Yeah.
I know if you probably watched the movie 2012.
2012. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
may have.
yeah, it's with John Cusack, I think, and it was about this whole uh, when they had this prediction that the world's gonna end, blah blah blah, whatever.
I'm
So
sure I did. I love
but
stuff like that.
but in the book, in the movie, there's a reference about books and the importance of reading books, and
Hmm.
because the guy, like the main character, was a writer who wrote a book that nobody
Yeah.
kind of picked up, but eventually that book became an actual iconic book, because that was
Hmm.
one of the ones that were preserved after all this
Wow.
dilemma happened.
Hmm.
And the idea of, like, how these books, like the guy that kind of makes one another lead, he had he didn't take anything with him except books in his bag, as
Wow.
they were
Hmm.
going into
Hmm.
this
Yeah.
run. So books are the future. Books are
Yeah.
important, and I think you guys, authors and writers, are doing a terrific job. So again, for
Well, thank
you,
you.
Ellison, and for all the ones out there. So,
Thank you.
but so now let me say this. As always, before we close our show, the question is simple: What would you leave our audiences with as some words of wisdom from you?
Well, I think, we talked about your futures hidden in your daily routine, and we talked about environment triggers behavior. Those are two big ones. The third one I really like is we are the five people we hang out with. right?
Choose
So
wisely.
make sure those are the people you want to be hanging out with, and because everything influences us. So that's a big one. You don't want to be around people that are dragging you down. Got to be careful of that.
No, well, thank you. I mean, you triangle that as well. You gave us another tree,
Another
yeah,
triangle.
another triangle,
It's all
and I
about
love it. I mean,
threes.
yeah, well, and you know what? There's a foundation there. It
There
kind
is,
of,
yeah. Yeah.
closes the loop, and we get some nice foundation of life here. So,
Hmm.
but that's a big one that you said, us, and thank you so much for that. Well, folks, there you have it. I mean, we're at the top of the hour here. We just exceeded a little bit. I think we're just about on the hour money here, and hope you have enjoyed this stuff, in the discussion. Do check out the book, do check out the website. I'll have it on the description of the show. So, and you can connect directly with Allison just by clicking on it or clicking on her picture in the website, and you can connect directly and hopefully get some of her wisdom, work with her. And that's all there is. Allison, I want to thank you for being with us today.
Thank
It's
you
been
so much.
an honor. Thank you. All right, folks, that's it. We're out of here. We'll be talking